You've cut the carbs, you've cut the sugar, you've cut the late-night snacks. You're eating clean 5 days a week, and that belly is still sitting there exactly where it was 3 months ago. So you do what everyone does. You cut harder. You cut the rice, you cut the fruit, you cut whatever's left, and the belly barely moves. Here's the sentence that's going to bother you for the rest of this video. Food was never the main variable. You've been fighting a war on the wrong front, and the fitness industry keeps selling you the same weapon that already failed you. Scientists studying stubborn abdominal fat found something most coaches never mention. Your belly fat isn't just a calorie storage problem, it's a stress storage problem. It has its own hormone receptors, its own blood supply, and its own inflammatory behavior, completely different from the fat on your arms or your face. Today, I'm breaking down the actual mechanism, why your belly responds to stress before it responds to salad, what's silently sabotaging you even in a perfect diet, and the specific daily fixes that address the real cause instead of the fake one you've been chasing. Stay through this because habit number 3 is the one almost nobody addresses, and it's usually the reason a perfect diet still fails. Let's start with the uncomfortable setup. 2 men can eat the exact same 1,800 calories a day. Same protein, same training, same everything on paper. One of them loses his belly in 10 weeks, the other barely changes. Same food, same gym, different results. If food were the only variable, that's mathematically impossible. So what's actually different? The answer is cortisol, your primary stress hormone, and specifically how much of it your body's producing every single day without you noticing. Cortisol isn't inherently bad. It wakes you up in the morning, it helps you handle a deadline. Short bursts of it are completely normal. The problem is chronic elevation, when cortisol stays high not for an hour, but for weeks, months, years, because of poor sleep, constant notifications, work stress, relationship stress, and a nervous system that never fully powers down. That chronic elevation does something specific. It tells your body exactly where to store incoming fat, and it's not random. Your fat cells aren't identical little storage bags. They're covered with receptors, and belly fat cells carry a disproportionately high number of cortisol receptors compared to fat almost anywhere else on your body. Think of those receptors like loading docks. The higher the cortisol traffic, the more incoming fuel gets routed straight to the belly. This isn't a theory pulled from a bro science forum. This is documented endocrinology. Chronically elevated cortisol is directly linked to visceral fat accumulation, the fat that sits deep around your organs, not just under your skin. Visceral fat is metabolically active. It doesn't just sit there. It releases its own inflammatory signals, which raises cortisol further, which drives more fat storage to the belly. You're not looking at a static problem. You're looking at a feedback loop. Diet perfect, training perfect, stress unmanaged, belly fat protected. That's the mechanism nobody explains to you before selling you another 30-day ab challenge. So if it's not calories keeping that fat locked in place, what actually is? There are 3 specific stress-driven habits quietly running in the background of most men's lives that keep cortisol elevated around the clock. Fix these, and you're not fighting your biology anymore, you're finally working with it.
The first hidden driver is constant low-grade alertness. Every buzz, every red notification badge, every time you check your phone within minutes of waking up sends a small stress signal through your nervous system. Individually, it's nothing. 100 times a day, every day, it adds up to a nervous system that never fully exits alert mode. Your body can't tell the difference between work email stress and actual danger. Cortisol responds to both the same way. The fix is boring and specific. No phone for the first 30 minutes after waking. Phone on Do Not Disturb during focused work blocks. 1 10-minute period a day with 0 screens, 0 input, just sitting, walking, or breathing. This isn't about becoming a monk. It's about giving your nervous system enough quiet stretches that cortisol has room to drop. Habit 2. Sleep debt compounding. The second driver is sleep debt that never gets repaid. One short night barely matters, but most men aren't looking at one short night. They're looking at 6 hours on repeat for years. Research on sleep restriction shows elevated evening cortisol after even a handful of nights of insufficient sleep. And elevated evening cortisol is exactly the window where your body decides how to partition the food you already ate. So it's not just that poor sleep makes you tired, it's that poor sleep actively redirects your own metabolism toward abdominal fat storage while you're trying to lose it. The fix isn't complicated. It's consistency. Same wake time every day, including weekends. 7 hours as an absolute floor. A wind-down period where the lights actually dim. This single habit alone changes the hormonal environment your entire diet is operating inside.
Habit 3, the hidden one, under-recovered training. This is the one almost nobody talks about because it sounds backwards. Training itself is a stressor, a good one, the kind that builds muscle, but it's still a physical stress signal to your nervous system. When you train hard every day with no deload, no easy days, no true rest, you stack training stress directly on top of whatever life stress you're already carrying. Your body doesn't separate productive gym stress from bad life stress. Cortisol just sees total stress load. So a man doing intense daily sessions while sleeping 6 hours and drowning in deadlines can be training himself directly into more belly fat, even while getting leaner everywhere else. This is why some of the hardest working guys in the gym still can't lose the middle. The fix? 3 to 5 focused training sessions a week, not 7. One true easy or rest day built in on purpose, and permission to treat recovery as part of the program, not a reward for the week. 3 habits, 1 shared cause, your nervous system running hot around the clock. But there's a trap hiding underneath all of this, and it's the reason people quit right before their body would have responded. Here's what makes this frustrating. Diet and training changes show up on the scale in days. Stress and cortisol changes show up in weeks. So a man fixes his sleep, calms his notifications, adjusts his training volume, and sees almost nothing for the first 2 or 3 weeks. He assumes it's not working. He goes back to cutting calories harder instead, which adds another stressor on top of an already overloaded system. This is the exact moment most people quit, right as their cortisol curve was starting to flatten. The fix here isn't physical, it's patience. Give the nervous system 4 to 6 weeks of consistent lower stress inputs before judging the mirror. The belly fat that was the last thing cortisol protected is also the last thing that responds when cortisol finally drops. Food matters. Don't misunderstand this video. A calorie deficit is still required. Protein is still required. Training is still required. But if you've done all of that correctly for months and the belly refuses to move, you were never missing a diet tweak. You were missing a nervous system fix. 3 habits. That's the real protocol. Kill the notification loop. Protect real sleep. Stop stacking training stress on top of life stress. Your body isn't broken and it isn't defective. It's protecting you exactly the way it's designed to. The only way to convince it to stop is to stop giving it a reason to stay on alert. Calm the system, and the belly stops being the last thing standing. If this finally explained why your diet stalled even when you were doing everything right, drop a comment and tell me which of these 3 you're guilty of ignoring. If you want the exact eating framework that pairs with this, so your food supports the fix instead of adding to the stress, that's a separate video. Watch that next. Subscribe if you want fitness content built on mechanism, not motivation. And send this to the guy who's been doing everything right and still can't figure out why nothing's changing. I'll see you in the next one.